What is the personality of GPT-5? So think about GPT-5 as it has some element of agentic features. So what I mean is that in order to use it adequately, in order to use it in a way that will help you to accomplish your goal, you really have to give the system a lot of information, right? So this means that you have to provide the system context, detailed information about what you want it to do for you. Also, you have to set boundaries and give specific information about what you expect in terms of the output. By providing this information, the system will take that and use models under it to accomplish the goal. So when you give instruction to this model, it also assigns jobs to model that work under it, right? And then after they have completed a job, they send it to GPT-5. GPT-5 integrate or synthesize all the information and then present that information to you. So this means that I don't want to say it doesn't have a time to ask for clarification, but if you don't provide detailed information, it will make a lot of assumptions. And that's why people are having challenges interacting with GPT-5 because if you don't provide detailed information about what you want it to do, you may receive an output that you may not be satisfied, right? So it goes back to prompt engineering and the need to learn about how to prompt the system. But having the knowledge about good prompt doesn't necessarily mean that the model will perform well. You also have to know what kind of prompt that you have to use, what a kind of prompt that is consistent with the personality of the model, right? So one example is that for GPT-4o, the best prompt to use is prompt chaining. So the prompt chaining is just like doing an interview, semi-structured interview, where you ask participant questions and based on the response, you ask further question. So it's like asking series of questions based on the output that the system provides to you. So GPT-4 is very good in that. But when it comes to GPT-5, if you use a prompt chaining, you might not be able to get rich information from it. You have to do a one-shot prompt. This means that you have to provide a lot of information about what you want the system to do for you, and then the system will just go sometimes make decision on your behalf, right? And also use some assumptions and then come up with information that may be useful for you. So it's always good to know the personality before you use. So let's try and see what we can do here. I think one advice that I wanted to give to you is that before you use any new model, learn more about it. Is it a thinking model, right? Is it a model that takes its time to think through the process, think through step by step before it provides you the outcome? Or is just a conversational model similar to GPT-4o, where you ask questions and the system provides you a quick response based on what you provide, right? So you have to ask the system, what is your personality? And then you can also ask, which of the prompts should I use to get very good information? And the system can suggest how to prompt it so that you'll be able to get good information from it. So this is what advice I'm going to give you. So if you want to use GPT-4, then for your data analysis, I think the best way is to do prompt chaining. So the prompt chaining is you have to break your request or task into small simple steps and give the system one task at a time, and based on the result you'll be able to also provide the next step, right? So we're going to try prompt chaining for GPT-4 and we're going to do the same prompt chaining for GPT-5, and then we're going to see which one is better to use when you are using prompt chaining, right? This is the data that I have here. I have 10 transcript, and the data is about participant perspective about responsible innovation. So this is the purpose of the study, right? So the purpose of the study is to explore diverse perspective in responsible innovation by examining experience, insight, and concern about key stakeholders, including innovators, policymakers, regulators, and members of the public. So this is the main purpose of the study, and also these are the research questions that you want to address in the study. And then I have demographic information, right? So I'm going to upload all the transcripts into ChatGPT using GPT-4o, and these are the questions I'm going to ask, right? So the first step that I'm going to ask, I want the system to extract all quotation, and this is the prompt I'm going to use. I'll try and put a prompt in the description section so that if you want to get access to it and review and use it, you can do that. Then next, I'll ask the system to generate concise code, right, based on the quotation that has been extracted. And then I also wanted to create a table. The next one is to develop themes by categorizing the codes, and then you come up with themes. The next one is to linking the team in supporting the quotation. The last one is to write a report. So let's try this and see what we're going to get. So as I said, this is called prompt chaining. I'm going to copy the first prompt. So I have the first prompt here, right? And then I'm going to attach all the transcript. So let me go and find the transcript to attach. After attaching all of them, I click on enter, and let's see what you're going to get. So the system is reading the document. So you see how based on the research question, it has extracted quotations and also provided information about who the source of the quotation, right? So it has provided quotation for research question 1 and also for research question 2 and also for research question 3. Sometimes the quotation may not be allowed. If you are not satisfied, this is where you ask a follow-up question, right? So you can tell the system, can you go through all the transcript again and make sure that all relevant quotations have been extracted? You can ask that question, right? So that's what I like about prompt chaining. Based on the response, you can ask further questions. So let's try to, if you are satisfied with what you have gotten, we can go to the next step where you want the system to generate codes based on the quotations, right? So this one is just telling the system to generate codes based on the quotation and also put everything in a table form. So let's see what we're going to get. Okay, so we have the table form here. You can even download if you want to download. So we have participant 1, and in that participant 1 is an innovator, and this is the quotation and also the code that was developed and also the respective research questions. So research question 1, it asks for research question 1, 2, and 3, right? So if you are satisfied, then you move to the next stage, which is the generation of development of themes. So let me copy the prompt here. It's about developing the themes, and you also want it in the table form. So let's see what the system. So this one, you are telling the system group related code into broad conceptual themes that answers each of the research question, right? So that's what it has done. So we have 2 themes for research question and all the associated codes. We have another 2 themes for research question 2 and 2 themes for research question 3. Again, if you are not satisfied, you can ask more questions. You can tell the system to break the codes into 3 themes or maybe 4 themes. It all depends on how the outlook will look like, and then you decide. So let's go to the next one, and in case, provided you are satisfied, you want to go to the next one where you want a system to link all the themes to the quotations, right? And so we can copy that. Sometimes what you can also do is that you can ask the system to do some self-reflections, right? You can say that, can you review the output and making sure that the themes really address the research questions or the codes are properly categorized. You can ask for that question to ask the system to do some self-reflection, right? So that's also what I like about the prompt chaining. You ask questions or you give further instructions based on the output that you get. So let's see what we're going to get right now. Okay, so the system has been able to provide the themes and also supported statements there. You can download if you want to know, and also the source, which participant are these quotation connected to. So if you are satisfied, then you can move to the next stage where you want the system to write a report, right? So let me also copy and paste the prompt. As I said, I'll leave the prompt in the description section there so that you can get access to it. So this is the prompt, right? So you're asking the system to write a report stating the theme, defining the theme, providing characteristics of the theme, and also quoting participant using 2 to 3 excerpts, and also writing about the significance of the themes, discussing why the theme is significant by understanding stakeholders' perspective on responsible innovation. So what you're going to do is that you state the theme, you define the themes, you provide unique significance in respect of the themes, and also you provide quotations and explain and also write a conclusion. So that's what you want the system to do, write a report. So the system is writing a report, typing all the report here, and then you can review and see whether everything is right. I'm not suggesting that you should copy this and paste it on your research report, but this one gives you an idea about what the definition will look like, what kind of characteristics are related to the themes. You just have to review and make sure that everything is right, and then you can write things in your own words. You can also see the quotations that are linked to each of the themes and then the concluding sentence. So this is to give you a structure about how you can write your findings. Now that we have presented this in this way, let's try GPT-4o and see if we will get similar information using prompt chaining. So let's start a new conversation, and then now it's going to be GPT-5. So when you choose GPT-5, it defaults to auto. So this means that the system will determine whether, based on your prompt, whether it should use the fast model or it should be used the thinking model, right? It should use the fast aspect of the GPT-5 or the thinking model, which takes some time, but it will give you a very good result. You can decide that, okay, you want to use the thinking function, but let's use the auto one so that the system will decide. So I'm going to use the same kind of prompts. The first step is to ask the system to extract quotations from the transcript. So I'm going to copy the instructions, right? So this is an instruction. So you want the system to extract all relevant quotations addressing the 3 research questions, right? And then I'm going to also bring all the transcripts here, and then let's see what it will do. So this one is GPT-5, right? So it looks like it's using the faster model under GPT-5. So it has provided a lot of, so it provided quotations, and also another thing that you have to do is that you have to make sure that the quotations are directly from the transcript. So you can select some of them and search the transcript to see whether you can find those quotations. Okay, so you can see the system has provided this information here. It does well with the prompt chaining. It didn't give you information that you don't need. It just gave you one information that you want. It looks like it's also using the fast one because I didn't see anything like thinking here. It's using the fast model. So the result is quite similar to GPT-4o right here. So let's try the next one. So I'm copying the second step here, and let's see what we're going to get. So wow, this is, in terms of the output, it looks nicer than the GPT-4o. So it has provided me the participant ID and also who they are and the quotation, the code, and also the research question, right? Let's try to do a little bit of comparison, I think, so that you see the difference. So this one is GPT-4 with output. So you see how it has provided information. Let's look at a table. Yeah, it's similar, but it's not extensive as I wanted to see. Maybe because of how it's been displayed, right? So let me make it bigger and see. It's quite similar. And this, so let's try the second one and see the third step, which is developing of the theme. So this one is also, so let's see what we're going to get. I like the cleanness of the table. It's a very clean table. So you have the themes here and then also associated codes connected to the theme. So that's good. And you can see here that it has even given you 1, 2, 3, 4 themes for each of the research questions. So let's try the next one. The next one is about linking the themes to the quotations, their respective quotations. So let's see what we're going to get. Okay, yes, it looks good, right? The table looks cleaner compared to the GPT-4 output, right? So as I also say, it's using the fast model because it's not using the thinking model. So let's see, the last one is about writing a report. Let's see what we're going to get. Okay, it's quite similar to the GPT-4o. So you have the definition, the unique characteristics, and also provide quotations and also provide explanation and conclusion, the same thing for all of them. That is good, right? So now, initially my thinking was that because GPT-5 is more about a thinking model, you have to provide more information for each of the prompts. But it looks like GPT-5, if you choose all, the system chooses the fast model, it performs similar to GPT-4o. But if we were to use the thinking model ourselves, I think the results may be very different and maybe you may not like that, right? But we will get there. Let's try another one by also looking into, in case you want to use the thinking model, what kind of information are you going to get, so that we can make informed decision concerning the best model to use. In this case, we are going to choose the thinking model, and we're going to ask the same kind of questions. So for the step 1 about extracting, and see whether we're going to get very good information. Okay, let's see. So it's reading the document. So you can see that this one is taking some time because it's using the thinking feature. So the learning here is that when it comes to analyzing qualitative data, you can either use GPT-4o or use GPT, the fast one, right? If you want to use GPT-5, make sure that either you just choose auto or fast so that it will not go into the thinking model, which takes a longer time and the result is not all that good. You see, we did not even ask the system to put it in the table form. If you use GPT-5 thinking, sometimes if you are not specific about what you want the output to look like, the system will decide for you. Right, so you just have to know its personality and then use it the way that is appropriate so that you can get a very good result. So let's try the second prompt and see what we're going to get. This time we are asking the system to develop quotes based on the quotation that has been extracted and also put them into a table form. So let's see. So one disadvantage, it takes a lot of time for a system to bring you the output, and the output may not be the way that you like. So you have to be very careful using GPT-5 thinking function or GPT-5 with thinking functionality when you want to analyze your qualitative data, right? When this one finished, what we could do next is to try to use the textual prompt. GPT-5 thinking is good for contextual prompts, where you provide a context about the background of your study or maybe the purpose of the study. Provide detailed information about what you want the system to do, and also detailed information about how you want the output to look like. Giving that information will help the system to be able to provide you rich output that you want. So this one, it took about 50 seconds to provide you that information. Everything in the table form, I think it looks good. We have the participant ID, we have the stakeholder group, and we have the quotation, we have also the code, and then also the research question, right? So yeah, and you can also download that information. Okay, so it took some time. It's not all that fast to get that information. Let's try and use the second way of prompting. So the second way, let me show you what the prompt I'm going to use for the second. So this kind of prompt is called conceptual prompt. Conceptual prompt. Conceptual prompt means that you are giving background information about your study. You are specifying the kind of task that you want the system to do. You are giving detailed information about what it has to provide to you. And then sometimes you can also provide information about the output, how the output is going to look like. By doing that, you'll be able to get rich information. So you are giving the system information about all the steps that it has to take to analyze your data. You're not going to do like back and forth like the prompt chaining that we did, right? This one is quite similar to, we call it context engineering. Context engineering. So the context engineering is a new kind of prompt strategy where you are just providing the system a lot of information, background information, all the information it needs for it to perform the job that you want it to perform, right? So you can assign a role, you can provide a specific responsibilities that it has to take, you can detail what steps that it has to take, you can also provide things that it shouldn't do, right? And then you can also provide information about the output, how the output should look like. All this should be in one prompt so that the system, because when it comes to the thinking models, right, because they have agentic features, they may not come and ask you further questions. It would make its own independent decision, assuming that that's what you expect it to do, right? It goes back to learning the system personality so that you know what you can do to prompt to get rich information from them. So let's try this one. So this one, you are providing a system, your title of the study, the purpose of the study, you give it a research question, you're providing what it has to complete, and then you're also giving what what should be included in the final report. So this is a long prompt. As I said, I'll provide it in the description section so that you can get access to it. So let's start a new one, and this time we are choosing the thinking model, right? So because we want the system to think and then have time to go through this process step by step so that to be able to give you all the information that you need. So we're going to paste the prompt here. We're going to attach all the transcript, and then we're going to, after attaching the transcript, we're going to click on enter. It may take some time because it has about 5 tasks that it has to complete. So we will come back to that. Let's try and do the similar thing for GPT-4o and see whether it will be able to perform using contextual prompt or using a contextual prompt, or you're going to use context engineering, right? So let me try to open another GPT page here, and this time we're gonna use GPT-4o and then put this formation there. We're going to attach all the 10 transcripts and let's see what we're going to get. Okay, so I'm going to click on enter. So it looks like the GPT-5 thinking has finished. So the first step, we want the system to extract all quotations related to the research question 1 to 3. So these are all quotations related to research question 1 to 3. You see how it's performing better than doing the prompt chaining and the GPT-5. It took its time step by step, provide all the information. It has given more quotations compared to the previous one. So let me show you the quotation it gave when we were using GPT-5. So it gives about maybe 8 quotations for research question 1. But now if you do GPT-5 thinking using contextual prompting or contextual prompt, you see that it has given you more information. It's more efficient if you provide one kind of prompt that contains everything, right? And you can also see that it has done it the similar one for research question 2 and also 3. And now you can see it has developed quotes based on the quotation. It's a long one, right? And then here it has also provided you the themes and associated quotes, right? It did not indicate which research question is related. This one is related to. And then it has the themes and then the quotations. Still, it did not indicate which research question, right, that these themes are related to. And now it's writing a report, and we don't know which research question these are addressing. So that's another limitation of this one. If the reason may be that we should have provided more specific information about the need to arrange the themes based on the research question, right? So it's always important for you to give a very detailed information, because if you don't do that, the system will assume and make decision on your behalf. So make sure that you provide information about the fact that the system should arrange the themes based on the research question, right? And I think that will be very good if you do that to get very good response. So the lesson here is, if you want to use GPT-5 thinking, provide all the detailed information about what you want the system to do, about the role that you want the system to take, about what not to include. You have to be as specific as possible so that the system will not assume anything and go beyond what you expect. If you follow this kind of simple suggestions, you can make good use of the model, right? So let's go back to the one that we did for GPT-4. So this one is a GPT-4. Another interesting thing that I really want to share, I think this is a very good example. So you see here, GPT-4 was able to provide you a little bit of the tax, right? And also seeking some clarification or asking you whether you want to proceed. It's so interesting because you see GPT-4 always want to have a conversation with you. GPT-4 is just like an assistant, right? It takes some steps and asks for clarification. So now it's telling you that it has extracted quotation from participant says, right? And it wants to know from you whether you wanted to proceed, right? So you can see that it doesn't really perform well if you give a lot of steps for it to complete at a time. And if you give it a lot of steps, it will also break things down and do a little bit and ask for clarification, right? So that's why I was emphasizing that when you are using GPT-4o, prompt chaining is the best. Step by step. Break the tasks down into steps and then ask the system to do the small tasks at a time, and then review the output and ask to proceed to the next task. Based on our discussion today, the take-home information is that when it comes to qualitative analysis, and if you want to use step-by-step approach in analyzing your qualitative data, if you want to use prompt chaining, where you ask the system one question at a time or ask the system to do one task at a time, GPT-4o is the better model for that. But if you want to provide all the tasks that you want a system to do at a time, right, and you have provided detailed background to help the system to make informed decision, then GPT-5 thinking will be the best. And it also looks like GPT-5 Fast has a similar personality compared to GPT-4o, right? So maybe if you want to try to use GPT-5 for data analysis, try to choose the fast one. So, and also use the prompt chaining to help ask the system to do one task at a time so that you can get rich information from the system. So this is what I have for you. Let me know your thoughts. I just want to know also whether you have used GPT-5 and what are your thoughts. And if you have any question, put it in the comment section and I'll be happy to respond to you. So thank you so much for your time for today.